who have stayed in between.
Well, I did, and it was absolutely glorious. We do see actually a non-cleated Matt Bevan on the sidelines on the far pitch.
So the spiritual leader then, well, spiritual and actual leader for Chevron in attendance.
You were silent until just now, and he's just come back, so welcome in.
Welcome back, everyone, to OTTV coverage of the Elite Invite. Here's Gasparini with BFD LaFotta looking for a clean hold on their first offensive point of the game. Pavan goes into the backfield. Now Gasparini zings the inside shot through to Rossi. Rossi to the end zone. Foul called. I wondered why there was a player just stood in the end zone. It's Rodri Williams, and we know if there is a play to be made, boy, will he make it, because he was exceptional defensively for Chevron in their game against Mooncratchers we streamed yesterday lunchtime.
Well, he is a player with a high bar, but yes, especially impactful yesterday was Rodri Williams, but such an impressive athlete to watch. And of course, that's why he got that double duty last season, 2 GB Open representations in under-24s and in seniors.
Engaged in discussion with, is that a wild Choppo, Giovanni Santucci, playing on the O-line? So something's not right here.
I mean, they've got to put him on there eventually.
Do they, though? Well, I mean, evidently the answer is yes, but it's been such a defensive powerhouse season after season for the Italian Stallions, but slightly different role for him today. Santucci centres. Casanelli looks at his options, tries to lead Santucci into space. Did he get the jump in correct? I'm not sure that he'd completely taken off by the time he caught that.
Yeah, I think even his fellow teammates signalling for the travel there. Not quite the wily vet move he wanted.
I mean, you can fully see what he was going for, but just didn't quite pull it off. Santucci going with the blade to the front of the end zone, and that'll do the trick. A clean hold for LaFotta. It's Santucci to Trombetti, and it's one apiece.
Well, we have a little bit of an ongoing discussion between Williams and Santucci, I think, but all smiles on the pitch. Nice to see Santucci, as you say, coming across the O-line. I know he was absolutely delighted to get that selection for this season. As you say, he's got that D-line energy and mentality, but as to use his own words, sometimes the oldest chicken makes the finest broth, and maybe that's the thing of he's finally reached that level with his offense that he can sort of, be one of those people pulled across. Though I want to talk a bit more about Giacomo Rossi, who we have, Rossi even, getting a little excited and saying it in a different way to, of course, his teammate Seba Rossi. But Rossi, coming through the Red Bulls programme, he's only 20 years old and has already been making absolute scenes for this LaFotta programme, Benji. Really, really impressive last weekend. Just already such a big part of their O-line offence.
As soon as you're ready, it doesn't matter how old you are, they'll put you in the big time. LaFotta have infinite trust in the development of their young stars. Lovely layout made by Kaim. Kaim sees the little space for the inside, just about darts it through to Graham. Now Sweetenham on the end zone line. And Sweetenham pops it into Weir for the score. Sweetenham seems to have lost his jersey since yesterday, so that's impressive.
It's gone walkabouts. Still, though, it's difficult to hide him, even when he's not wearing quite the exact number and quite shirt you're expecting. Such a rangy athlete. And, just really safe pair of hands. Nice to see Edward Graham getting on the roster again. Got a little splash of him last weekend. So a former Smog player, hailing of Newcastle University. So Pies Ultimate. I think they're still called that, although in the
They
UK...
might have they dropped the too many.
Wow. I think that, I don't know. This, what I was going to say, Benji, is obviously all the UK university programs keep taking away the iconic names of their university.
They get a little
teams.
bit more sanitized and become kind of officially branded, and it just loses a little bit of that character, I think.
Well, it's trying to create that connectivity between the different sporting outfits. You know, one team, one focus, kind of make it like a monolith. But yeah, no, Edward Graham, really lovely to see him out there. And it's only been playing for sort of about 6 years or so and already operating at the elite level.
Casanelli watches the pool all the way in. Votsi, who seems to have ditched the pink visor this weekend. She's a little bit sad. Zipped forward. Sarako has Votsi. And LaFotta look already in rhythm. Getting into a little bit of trouble, but finds the ever-reliable Arturo Laffy. Now trying to run some give-go and bouncing around in the backfield. Votsi. Laffy up line. Couple of players come to bracket it, and still Laffy is able to find a way through. There's got to be a poach somewhere. Laffy's going to find it, stretching it across the end zone. Giovanni Saracco with the score.
Yeah, Saracco, one of the under-20 players from last season, who was absolute peach of a tournament for the under-20 Italian boys squad. They didn't drop a game, and the stat line from their final, Benji, against a very talented French open team was just bananas. But
apparently he's often the designated driver, which he's a little less sure about because he doesn't say he's a good driver, but he seems to have full control of the steering wheel at the moment for LaFotta.
Yeah, I can see that man weaving his way through traffic on an ultimate pitch, but is he old enough to drive? I mean, they just get younger and younger.
Legally, yes. Should he now? Is he mature enough to drive? That's an entirely different question. I think the fact that he recognises that he's not the best driver means that he probably is, of course.
It's usually the way.
Here's the spin pull that Tognetti has picked up from his mentor. Kaim kneels as he catches it. And now Spears stretching it out wide. Not a problem for Sweetenham, though. Put it out into space. Pit called, I think. That stack in the centre for Chevy's quite tight in, and that's going to cause those little rubs across each other. And this means that whatever pool play they had cooked up, they've probably now not got the time to put it into practice. Zeno Alberto Camerato was on the mark and he checks in. There's Spears tries to power his way through up line. Kaim, ooh, that was a dicey one, but Hodgett was able to scoop it before it brushed grass. High release from Sweetenham. Spears trying to get their big deep threats, churning up yardage downfield. Spears airing it out. Sweetenham is the target, and Sweetenham catches with a defender on his back for the score. Chevy take a 3-2 lead.
Yeah, interesting. A lot of the defenders for LaFotta in that point really giving the underneath options to these big threats from Chevron. They do have height advantage, I think, to the British outfit. And certainly a lovely take there for Andrew Sweetenham to add a goal to match his assist so far in this game. But yeah, you sort of run out a little bit. Bologna, of course, have a couple of very, very large athletes, like of Barzazzi et al. But I think, yeah, there is a slight height advantage in after a little bit of a clustered start, that pit call, stopping that initial pass through to Sweetenham. Chevy cleaned it up and taking those shots again, just happy to run it into the deep space, even under pressure and coverage there. So maybe we'll start to see LaFotta putting sort of, a bit of help defense, that last player back mentality to try and really get in front of those and deny the easy options deep.
The athleticism of Chevron Action Flash has never been in question, but at times they've lacked a little bit of synergy and connectivity, but it feels like an offense at the moment that knows exactly what they're all about. They've got a style that they want to impose on their opponents, and they're going to try something different defensively now as well. Where I come from, looks a little bit like an FSU.
Yep, it certainly does, Benji. We'll see how this point goes, though, because it could be something more arrowheady.
For those who are wondering what FSU stands for, I'll tell you it's not Florida State University. And leave it at that.
Not suitable for broadcast.
The idea is that you get 3 handler marks and then a diamond downfield, and you're trying to funnel traffic into that point at the front. But LaFotta adept at dealing with it, and now just outside the red zone, they have seen a stoppage. I was trying to work out what was going on. I haven't quite seen the hand signal for as to why, but I think they're happy for it to stay with Sarako here. Facing against what is now a Chevron match defense. Haynes checks in on the mark, and he got a big slap of it, and Haynes was off to the races, but not this time. Sorry, Robbie. I think you can see there just the good spirits and good vibes that are emanating from the Elite Invite. Laffy. Wearing the old familiar Dominican hat. I think it's Dominican Republic, the hat. I'll have to double check. Second guessing myself now. Here's Laffy.
Back yourself, mate.
True. People can't see it from this distance, so I must be right. Lovely 1-2 leading there. Casanelli not too far out. Gasparini staring just a metre or so away from pay diet. The traffic just about finds its way through. Sarako catching, quickly signalled up by Chevron for the score.
Yeah, just a little bit of chat. I have to say, you talk about the vibes with the Chevron team. It's really lovely to see. As you say, they really know what they're about this year. Obviously, coming off of that historic UKU Nationals Championship win last season, but they have this nice sort of new young core. I mean, I say new. It's been a couple of seasons in the making. They've been, adding a bit of garnish to the dish, but it just seems like they have this really lovely mentality coming through. This sort of, nouveau Chevy look. These younger athletes that are really just committing to do the work. It really shows when they're out here on the field, going to toe-to-toe with these top teams, because Chevron have always been up in the upper standings of the European scene, but not always with the highest of compliments from their opponents, and that does seem to be a vibe that's really changing.
I think getting the proverbial monkey off the back by winning the UK Nationals has been very freeing for them. The fact that they've got a full-time established base now in Birmingham. They've even got shared custody of a clubhouse and training pitches, and it's helped, I think, to settle them and centre them a little bit, actually. Spears to Sweetenham. There's a player on the floor. It's Riccardo Venturoli, who looks a little bit awkward. He's going to have to come off the field with a slight limp. Hopefully that's nothing too serious. Pingu's not a bad player to sub on, though. Of course, the nickname of Luca Tognetti. Super team athlete, Luca Tognetti, I heard. Don't know if that's a rumour or a trumour, though.
Who knows? All of those players keep being revealed as the course of the season goes on.
Sweetenham beckons for a little bit more support. Tried to lead Keim to space, but it was too far for him. And just like that, LaFotta break. Couldn't convert on their first opportunity on the first point, but they can convert on their second. The big man, Bart Zassi from Bergamo with the score.
Yep, Chevron just coming a bit unstuck on a lateral reset there. It's a shame because they have been putting together some good offense so far this championship. As we've already said, we've had some pretty tight games here in Open Pool B. But it's an interesting one, Benji, because obviously on paper, the matchup between the 2 and 3 sort of seeds between Pool A and Pool B, you want to be the highest seed. You want to be seed 2 playing against a seed 3. But on this elite invite, it kind of creates these interesting situations where actually, certainly we've seen it in the women's division yesterday, East Block versus Moon Cup, the matchup, you kind of really want to avoid certain teams, allow your opponents to knock them out, depending on your kind of game planning and the personnel you have on the field. So if you're running the clipboard for either of these teams, let's have a think about this in the next point. Who would you rather play, Wall City or Gentle?
Well, the thing is, because that game's going on behind us right now, you can't necessarily try and game the matchup you want, because it all depends on how that game's going. And you could think, okay, we definitely want to win, so we play this team, and then all of a sudden there's a huge comeback and you don't end up playing them anyway. So I think always you want to go and put your best foot forward.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not talking about trying to lose a game, because that's, of course, this controversial thing that...
It's antithetical to what these teams are here to do.
Exactly. But it's more just kind of, thinking about the fate of these things. And actually, sometimes you can end up with a more preferential matchup, especially when the margins between the teams aren't so thin, just by virtue of fate.
Here's Colt Hammer trying to spread down the line, and Colt Hammer weighs that one up perfectly. I thought he'd asked too much of Graham, but no. Well tracked, well read, got the speed along the grass, and Chevron, having conceded the break, steady themselves and get back on the board. Down a break, but it's 4 apiece.
Yeah, those cheeky inside backhand, Sweetnam getting that one sort of underway. Lovely continuation and timing from the rest of the field. So we get a little spin shot there on our drone cam. But certainly Chevy have the athletic chops to pull a break back. Certainly that's what we saw Rodri Williams do yesterday. We already mentioned how good of a game he had.
And the thing that impressed me about Williams was that it wasn't just hat on a hat athleticism, I'm going to run past you, steam through, go up against you. It was reading the game well. It was getting the head on a swivel, looking round. Where am I going to have the opportunities to flash, to pop in, to gobble up overthrows, to sit and sag in lanes? That was so impressive to me. Shows a really good ultimate brain.
Exactly, and that's what it takes. You cannot just be an absolute uber athlete at this level. It's not enough. You have to be able to put it together with your brain.
Especially because there are so many excellent athletes now that it's not the freebie that perhaps it once was. Chevron again trying to just slow down and prevent any schemed pool plays for LaFotta, but they've transitioned into going one-on-one now, and there's the break towards the far side. Low from Trombetti, too low into the floor. That's the first turnover for LaFotta's O-line.
Was that a piece for Andrew Turner?
I'd have to look at it again. It might well have been. Trying to stretch it all the way across the field. Luffy got a little bit of a bump there with Tom Martin Hall. I think Luffy saw that and he tried to pull out a little bit, and Martin Hall's going to take an injury sub, I think, after a slightly hefty landing. But again, you see good spirit, useful discussions between the two.
Yeah, well held line by Tomo there. Laffy was kind of, I think it's difficult for Laffy to really appreciate where Martin Hall goes, but he does end up in front of the defender. So well held space, and he'll be replaced by Williams, which is a pretty good trade if you ask me.
And Williams wants to go in style with the hammer. Gasparini's on the floor, but the goal is good, and Chevron immediately earn their break back.
Well, it turns out it wasn't Rodri Williams that was required to get themselves a break in that game, but he did help. That was a slightly risky biscuit with that hammer, don't you think, Benji?
I feel like I've seen less sketchy throws, but it worked, so I'm not sure Chevron really mind too much. After all, that always seems to be the most important thing, is that the end result is what you wanted. And it was a high stall count, so I think you understand why Williams wanted it, but yeah, didn't quite see whether Turner got a piece on the mark to force the throw into the floor, but either way, Chevron, that's maybe just needed giving up the break to kick them up defensively a little notch.
Yeah, and it's nice to see Turner sort of, have a couple of seasons now with Chev. Of course, had a little bit of a saunter into the mixed division in the mid part of his career to date.
Yeah,
played for Deep Space.
And before that as well, I think was one of the starters at Smog. But a player whose game has gone from strength to strength and has become a defensive powerhouse for Chev. He's got the Luffy matchup this time. There's the big man Pavan. Chevron doing a good job of just compressing the opposing offense right now. Not a huge amount of verticality to it. Sarako on this sideline. Scored 2 of LaFotta's 4 scores so far. Lafi whipping it deep. Kais Mate, the French import, on the end. Mate goes back. Casanelli now. Looking ever so slightly disorganised in the end zone. Gasparini, I think, calling for a little more order. Doesn't have the dish off. Haynes making a nuisance of himself on the mark. He's going for the hammer as well. And the hammer's blocked by Tenen. I'm not sure whether Matei would get there, but he didn't want to take the risk. Partly set up by that really excellent active force by Haynes. Chevron trying to ratchet up through the gears. Looking deep. Brought down well with the right hand by Haynes. Can he find the path to force his way over? Well, it was a pretty aesthetically unattractive throw, but it got out and it got the job done. And Haynes to Williams is another break. Chevron now leads 6-4.
Yeah, that was really great recovery defense from Chevy here. They allowed Kais Mate to escape through for that deep shot after just a bit of miscommunication on a switch and not that kind of awareness the full stretch. As they've done a really good job of, as you already mentioned, Benji, compressing in that near space to the disc. That one went through, but then they recovered exceptionally well. As you say, put on lots of pressure on the force from Haynes. And then that little takedown and a slightly wobbly flip into the end zone. But it will do nicely. And as you say, a timeout being taken, because I'm sure the Italian coaches have something to say about this.
Yeah, I can assure you that Andrea De Rosa will be having some slightly pointed discussions with his charges out there. Chevron taking charge. They've got a 6-4 lead. Chevron 6, LaFotta 4, the score. and I believe that 5 is in the middle of those, although the countdown we've got from the desk behind us indicates that maybe it doesn't.
No, it's a hypothetical number, Benji. Didn't you know? Weren't you aware of this? Well,
the number of the counting should be 3, and 3 should be the number of the counting. 5 is right out.
Oh, love the Monty Python reference.
Thank you. It's not too often you get to do that on commentary, but we'll take it. Having surrendered 2 breaks on the trot, LaFotta's O-line takes the time out to steady themselves, and what have they got in the locker now? Trombetti sees the space in the middle to shoot to Laffy. Matei's open, that's got to go, it does go, and there's no doubt that the French starlet can reel it in.
Oh, that was just such a lovely, beautiful, soft throw from Arturo Laffy. Lesser players get overexcited when they see the likes of their better deep receivers in plenty of room. And Kais Matei, again, this time it's good enough yardage for the goal, but Kais Matei is a little bit of a problem at the moment. Of course, that previous point where Chevron Action Flash did get a break, he had that big gainer towards the end zone, just not quite making it all the way. But yeah, the release on that from Arturo Laffy, of course, he's been a household name coming out of the Italian scene for such a long time. Just a really lovely leader as well. Does a lot of development work with the local youth. Yeah,
and Matei, I think this is his first season with LaFotta.
It is.
He's come up through the west coast of France with the Ray Flying Oysters, and for those wondering where's Ray, well, it's the Ile de Ray, which is just off the coast of La Rochelle in the west of France, not too far actually from slightly north of Royan, where we were last year for the European Beach Ultimate Club Championships.
Indeed, there's a lovely little airport you can fly out of, sort of in that neck of the woods.
I was in the car both there and back, and that was a lot of driving. And coincidentally, I went from there to here last year on a stop-off between EBUC and Windmill.
Big Benji's European tour. You're like doing the Grand Tour like all of those youngsters used to do back in the day, those cultured gentlemen.
Interrailing, sort of. But just in the back of a clapped-up Volvo.
No, I mean the Grand Tour where you'd go see the great wonders of Europe, the classical art and all that sort of stuff.
Is that not what we're doing here in Leuven?
Precisely. That's what I mean, Benji.
I'm with you now, Hannah. Sorry. It took me a while. It's the first game of the morning. Kaim. Sweetnam's found his shirt. Spears takes advantage of the force on the floor. Weir dishes. Kaim slides. And the simple flip for the score from Kaim to Sweetnam.
That was good intensity from Bologna there, putting that effort in. I enjoyed the little spoil hand signal from Weir. Like, where is anybody? I don't currently have one, because Simonazzi having made that bid on the dirt still. And just that easy gutter punch for Sweetnam for the score. But edging ever closer to taking half our Chevron Action Flash. Of course, they started this game on offense. So at the moment, that 2-point margin is a little bit of a lie. It's 1 break of score they are over BFD LaFotta, because the Italians will start the second half of this match coming out on offense, regardless of whether or not they have put that last punch in.
They will indeed. So the halftime rules, by the way, with games to 15, half at 8. Or if you haven't reached half by 40 minutes, you have like a mini halftime cap. Finish the point, add 1 to the highest score. That is that's your little halftime score limit. So but whatever happens, it'll be half at 8.
Yeah, we won't need it. We're already at 7.
Not at the rate this game's progressing. Certainly not.
Although, wouldn't it be fun to get another Galaxy point, Benji?
I wouldn't hate it, although I think Chevron might at this point. Looking like an arrowhead up front for Chevron. Gasparini catches towards the sideline, a little dish off to Casanelli. The Italians trying to keep the disc ticking over, keep those stall counts low. Now Santucci unveils himself on that far wing. Nice transition, seamlessly done by Chevron. Now they're in the match defense. Laffy looking deep once more. Santucci, can he track it? Yes, he can. The seemingly ageless Santucci with Laffy. I'll be honest, looks like he's dealing right now.
Yeah, he is. He's sat at that blackjack table and shuffling all sorts of magic to try and gamble and win this game back from Chevron. Nice rundown from Santucci. That was a little bit of a... So Santucci starts off his cut, gets some pace going underneath him, and it almost felt for a moment like he hesitated, like he slightly took his foot off the gas. But once Laffy released that disc, put the wheels on, got the engine going, and nothing but net, as the kids say. But again, a really lovely distribution from Arturo Laffy. Really enjoying watching him play this game.
He has half of LaFotta's assists at the moment. 3 of the 6 have come from his hand.
Not even remotely surprised by that.
No, there's a reason he's been a leader, a standout for so long.
And just a nice guy. Such a nice guy.
He is. He's a lovely chap.
And he's only 27.
But it feels like he's been around forever, but it's because he has been around for over a decade at this point. So that's quite a long time in Frisbee terms to be playing at the very highest level. After Hodgick catches the ball, the first pass is central to Spears. Now the break around to Criddle. Criddle, he's going to shoot. The defender closes, but not in time. The bid on the back, I'm not sure I like that one in all honesty, and I don't think receiver liked it anyhow, but Chevron will go into half with an 8-6 lead.
Yeah, I have to say, great work from Edward Gray in there to reel that one in. When Criddle released it, his centre of gravity was all kinds of wrong. But it does make it. It's effective. Doesn't matter how it looks. Doesn't have to be the prettiest in the world. It just has to get there. And boy, did it do that. Well, that's half, Benji.
Yeah, Criddle is one of the main offensive shooters, and sometimes you give them a little bit of a longer leash because you trust their playmaking ability. He put it up to space, and it was very well received. Chevron looking to seal second spot in this pool. They take half on LaFotta. 8-6 here at the Elite Invite. A absolutely idyllic morning here in Leuven. Beautiful Belgian surroundings, lush grass, great ultimate. What more could you ask for here at the Elite Invite? 8 of Europe's best in each division, open, mixed and women's, going at it game after game all weekend. Our first round of day 2 is the last round of open pool play. Chevron Action Flash having gone a breakdown midway through that first half. A run of 3 gave them a little bit of a lead, which they've traded out to an 8-6 half-time advantage. Benji Reese with you in the booth, delighted to be joined by Hannah Pendlebury, and I really enjoyed that first half. I don't know why I sound surprised, because I'm not. They're two teams that are a lot of fun to watch when they're on form, and it's been a game of real quality.
It has. There's just that little bit of extra grind and grit, I think, in the D-line for Chevy. They are putting in the work. We're seeing a little bit of creativity, some fantastic transitions. But the thing I think I want to highlight most from the first half is the switching and recovery from Chevron Action Flash. They are clearly communicating very well this morning. They're starting the kind of bonding campaign for the 2024 season. So look out, rest of Europe. The boys from Birmingham are coming at you. But, of course, we know that the Italians can grind back. Let's see how this one develops.
After Laffy catches the pull, he finds Pavan to get the second half in action. Mate, who seems to have slotted in to this LaFotta O-line, just like another cog in the machine, does not look out of place at all. Trombetti. Maybe struggling to find a free player downfield. Turns, puts a bit of bear under it for Pavan. Not a problem for the skyscraper to bring down. Trombetti wants to see if he could just hop it into the end zone. Not on that occasion, but Mate, with a leading pass towards the far side, sticks it on his man for the score.
Yeah, that was some really lovely flowing offense for LaFotta. Not too much to say about that, apart from the excellent handler coverage from Chevy's D-line. That high release very nearly was spoiled, but well handled. Is that Copy that went up for it?
Good question. It's a very good question. It was Rosie on the score in the end. The floater was brought down by Pavan, I think. And LaFotta, no matter who they've got out there, it never seems to miss a beat. It was Copy who brought it down, you're right. I can't read.
Well, I'm just struggling to actually locate Pavan on my roster.
I don't see him there. No, because normally he'd be in the number 3, wouldn't he? Apologies for my misidentification in that first half.
We've just got to give the credit where the credit is due.
Oh, 100%. That's why I'm frustrated, because these players work hard out there, and it's only right that we can do them justice.
Well, when they give us their roster information, though, Italians, the BFD programs, one of my favourite programs because their admin is exceptional and their rosters are usually bang on.
Yeah, that's true, so I don't know why I questioned myself. I've commentated them enough times, I thought I should have recognised Fabio Coppi at this point, so sorry everyone. Again, I'll put it down to the first game of the day. Little hammer zinged in there by Criddle. Keim sees the opportunity to distribute wide, use the lateral space. Here's Weir, the lefty. Criddle again can be creative with the disc in hand if he's given the license. And with the stall count rising, he might be. Zips the inside throw. And now Colthammer, the vet. Grandmaster's age, but still looking good for it as a layout. Slightly awkward on the far side, but Keim sticks it. Weir goes short to Sweetenham. Sweetenham turfs. Just maybe the pressure, the slight rush there. That's quite uncharacteristic from Sweetenham, who's been faultless pretty much all weekend, with the exception of temporarily mislocating and then finding his shirt. Tognetti has Novak and now Venturoli on the near sideline. Tognetti calling for a bit more organisation downfield, but not seeing it yet. We'll just play it in the handler space. Gets it back from Simonazzi. Tognetti. Sweetenham just tried to flash into the space. Hammer, can he drop that over the top? We're closed in, but not quickly enough. And it was a little harem-scarum at the end, but as long as they stuck the score, which Pingu did, they're not going to mind, because LaFotta have broken to bring us back on serve. It's 8 apiece now.
All right, Benji, for the fans back at home who might not know, why Pingu?
Good question. I do not have a good answer for you, but it is a good question.
All right, we're going to have to do some deep
I'll
dive
send,
research.
I'll send our journalistic bloodhound, Steph Rapazzo, out to scoop the story.
Well, speaking of course, anyone who's familiar with their Pazzoisms would know that 8 all is a scoreboard with two
Snowmen. Yep.
Indeed, Benji. But no, that was really great work from the Italians, putting pressure on consistently throughout the course of this game. They have been ramping things up since conceding those 2 breaks in the row from Chevron Action Flash. They've just been on the shoulder, putting that intensity in. I think it was just one of those unforced errors from Sweetnam.
It was, yeah. He saw the window and just... the form was a little bit off. Balance maybe not quite set wide enough on the pivot, and...
Maybe too wide, who knows? But something went a little bit astray, and you could see immediately as it just left his hands that it was going into the turf. So what a shame, though. We have obviously seen on our previous live stream game with the full coverage, Chevron Action Flash get into that tussle, very, very tight one with Moon, and then, should we say, one of the shorter universe point finishes I've seen.
Yeah, it didn't really have the drama and majesty of some that we've seen.
And wasn't a true reflection of the quality of the game either, which I found quite disheartening. But certainly, this is what Elite Invite is also for. It's to try and get these elite teams to compete against each other, have these tussles, these early season matchups, which is just so good for the teams that get picked.
Obviously, yes, they got broken there, but I'm not sure Chevron really need to push the panic button, because they were working it quite nicely. Just a throwing error, and unfortunately, they are human. It does happen. So I think you can probably just brush it off a little bit. But
oh, absolutely. And there's plenty of game left to play. We have about half an hour still for some more magic to develop, and they've not really been curtailing their lines too much, have Chevy. So they're still fresh. They're still, first game of the day. Anything can happen.
Williams spots the zone and comes off this near side, sit into the middle in a hat-style position. Williams is beckoned under. Can they find a way to squeeze it through to Hodgett? Now Williams on the overlap. And low again. Elliot Edwards was the target this time, but it's 2 turf throws in 2 points. I think just struggling to really move the disc freely means that they're rushing the opportunities when they're there. But what a way to get it back from who else but Rodri Williams. An absolute playmaker. And a play needed to be made there, and Weir tried his best, but it wasn't to be.
Well, this is all about the mental focus. We heard in the warm-up, Colt Hammer, as you say, that very seasoned athlete, saying this is all about the mental game from this point onwards, and I think it's starting to become all too true.
First point in this game where either side has turned it over on multiple occasions. Broken around. And now, shot deep. Cody Elliott was right there for it. And now they're trying to send the horse the other way. Cody Elliott Edwards, we know he can cover grass, but not that much grass.
I mean, he wasn't too far off, but what a waste of an absolutely exceptional cut from Cody Elliott Edwards. Just needed to hold that one for maybe half a heartbeat extra. Let's get another look at that defensive effort from Rodri Williams. Fantastic full stretch block. But Chevron need to just have a little resettle of their offense and their throws, because that's what's really generating the turnovers at the moment, is either a block or a mis-execution of a throw for kind of more or less both teams at the moment.
Zeno Alberto Camerato, toes on the far sideline. Hair tied up behind his head. one of the few Bologna lads who was at the EUCS after party, I remember, alongside David Bartzassi.
Oh yeah, how was that?
I had a nice evening. Another undefeated weekend for us here at Ulti TV, it was. Trying to get the disc moving quickly. Lovely lead pass. Corazza to Comerato. Fakes the dish. And you see there the call. Let's get organised. We're in the red zone now. Structure is what we want. Simonazzi. To the more diminutive Corazza. Shuttling it in the backfield nicely at the moment, but struggling to maybe get more positive gain downfield. That's a good way to find it. The Croatian Bobinets to the front of the end zone. Not quite there yet for the Austrian Novak. Two of the international stars of LaFotta combining, and back in Bobinets' hands. He says, enough of this. Let's make sure by taking the time out.
Well, it's always an interesting one for the stats to see if it will be a time over, turn and burn, whichever of those jargons you like to use. But I think it could be quite a wise one. They do need to punch this one and take their first lead of the game, Benji, to really try and just grab this game by the scruff of its neck.
Can they edge themselves in front? Tied at 8 here. LaFotta will come back in on the goal line.
Get there. Yes, he will. The lovely did.
Elite Invite 2024, the third edition of this tournament. LaFotta aiming to take it down for the first time, as are Chevron. And having got themselves into a good position, the Brits, LaFotta now can break, would be a 3-point run coming out of half to take a 9-8 lead. Benji Rees and Hannah Pendlebury with LaFotta about 5-10 metres out.
Yeah, I have to correct myself. This wouldn't technically be the first lead of the game for LaFotta. Of course, they did that with that first break to go to 4-3. But then, of course, that did seem to put some fuel in the fire for Chevron Action Flash.
So if Chevy do give this up, they'll be saying, look, this happened before, we can just stop it again. Easier said than done, though, of course. Bobinets with a stall count rising. Criddle flashing in the lane. And a little too physical on the mark from Elliot Edwards, potentially.
Yeah, liking to see Chevy learning their lessons from earlier on in the game. By the way, putting somebody sort of, really honouring that break side shot.
Rolled back to Comerato. And we are now in much the same position as we were before the timeout, with good lateral movement, but no vertical field position being gained. Comerato. Now there's an opportunity. The traffic comes through, and it was Hodgett. He didn't actually get a piece of it, but he did enough to make the catch difficult for Osri.
Yeah, it meant that Osri really had to bid for it. Really smart work. Just being that threatening presence coming in. And a nice gallop over as well to make sure he doesn't stud Osri in the back.
Yeah, Simonazzi just, I think, left it there potentially for Hodgett to flash in. The spacing not quite right for LaFotta. Spears. Squeezing it down the line for Hodgett, and it's off his hand.
Ouch.
Glorious opportunity.
How many turnovers are we on now, Benji?
That's the 7th in total this point. No previous point it had more than 2.
Good lord.
And that had only happened once, I think. Funny old game, isn't it?
It does happen, though, especially at this stage, early in the second half. The adjustments starting to be made, the kind of chess game, the matriculation. That one's way too low, though, and it's going to be snaffled up by Weir.
It is indeed. Tried to zing it through the centre, and Weir got the shouts from the sideline, picked his head up and picked it off. And then Criddle just drops. What is going on?
Curiouser and curiouser, Benji.
I think this is one of those points where both sides just want it to end. They almost won't care who scores. Almost.
At
I
this
don't hesitate to
level-
point.
Oof.
Big bid by Williams and lost a bit of field position as he went to ground, but Gatti does secure. There's the strike. There's the score. Simonazzi de Comerato on the 10th possession of the point. The break finally comes.
And that one is going to hurt. You can see Colt Hammer out on the field, not on our view, but just, he's got a little bit of chalk on his hands, I think, to combat the sweat, but just putting his hands down, saying, calm. This is where, those talismanic players that set the tone for your team really have to just sort of take the lead, take control and say, no, okay, it's fine. There is still plenty of game time left. It's a very different affair. Last weekend, anyone that was on the roster for Chevron would have known that sense of not immediate panic, but that sense of pressure, because those time slots were only 60 minutes long. Still games to 15, still a half time, but only 60 minutes. You have a full stretch of 80 regulation minutes here. It's just a case of taking your time, and I think Chevron just needs to recompose themselves.
Yeah.
They've been throwing themselves around, really kind of using that fire and energy on defense, but they just need a little bit of finesse, some sort of gold leaf around the edges of their plates.
Well, they've rotated, I think, pretty much that entire line out. Get some fresh legs on, get some of the leaders, the more experienced heads, just to settle things down a touch. Kime to Martin Hall, and Kime gets it back. Inside break goes to Sweetenham. Continues the break side movement. Martin Hall, can he find a way to squeeze through to Kime? He can. Kime now airing it out. This is going to sit and hang, and it's expertly taken by Sweetenham. Sweetenham with the dish off to Allen for the score.
Oh, Josh Kime. We did not get enough opportunities, in my view, to just talk about how good Josh Kime is at throwing a frisbee. That was such a nice option. Really just keeps the angle of the disc in an ideal sort of shape, so that it is really difficult to swat away as a defender, keeping it bladey, knowing the receiver, trusting your teammates, and that one will steady the ship a little bit. We're going to get some more of the powerhouse athletes now coming out, of course, because we're back to playing D-line for Chev. But yeah, of course, Kime coming through the juniors programs, certainly was present in the under-20 squad back in Heilbronn in 2010. So a long storied career, playing for nearly 2 decades.
Yeah, 19 years since he first started, which is impressive when you're only 32.
It is indeed. So
I mean,
nearly
it's impressive.
Masters eligible.
It's impressive when you're not 30, even if you're not 30, regardless of what age you are, to be playing for that long. And depending on when his birthday is, which I will admit that I don't know, you could even be Masters eligible this year.
Right, you are, Benji.
Luffy in that faded red 5 panel. At least I assume it was red at some point.
I don't know. It could have just been pink.
Not sure.
We'll have to ask him.
Yeah, I wonder if that hat's. I mean, it's got some miles in it, certainly. Copy, opening it up deep. Trying to find Santucci. Santucci gets it beyond Haynes and jumps it into the end zone for the score.
I was going to say, I think Giovanni Santucci must have been doing some off-season training in the sand pits at the athletics track. He's going for all the long jumps in this point. Real Frogger vibes I'm getting. But it works out well, like in that matchup between him and Robbie Haynes, both storied athletes. Of course, Haynes having struggled with injuries throughout the course of his ultimate playing career. It's wonderful to see him on the field so often these days for Chevron Action Flash. Of course, also picks up caps for the GB Open team. Similar story as well for Santucci. Maybe fewer injuries have plagued his career, but many a cap for the Open Italian team.
Hayes would have been frustrated that GB couldn't get it over the line at EUC. They came up short in the final to Belgium, but he did still get a European gold medal last season as part of the Great Britain Masters squad.
And I believe he was on the 2019 squad as well in Jure, was he not?
He was, and he caught the winning score in that Universe Point final against Germany.
So, you know, you win some, you lose some.
He's not had a bad career, I think.
It's been pretty good, by all accounts.
I'd take it. That's not true. I like being in the booth and being able to call it all instead. That's my comfort zone.
No one's given you any medals yet, though, sadly, Benji.
That's not true. I've got a Spirit Winners medal from 2019 EBUC in the Great Grandmasters division.
That's true.
Don't need to ask why. But I promise I didn't steal it.
Promise.
Genuinely promise. Hodgett trying to find his way past Roger, slices it and sires it through to Sweetnam, and Hodgett once more flips the grip for the scuba.
I'm liking Chevron double loading the deep space. You've got Cody, Elliot, Edwards, as well as Sam Criddle just hovering around, waiting.
They've certainly restrained Chevron to an extent here. They have not looked excessively flustered, but they have at least forced a change of rhythm and tempo. Now they're trying to pick it up a little bit. Colt Hammer to Kime. Said that a fair few times over the years. Hodgett now. Sweetnam tasked with picking apart this tricksy zone defense from the Italians. The two 51s marking up against each other, Colt Hammer and Canton Crash Roger.
We talked about the lack of appearance of Sax Dixon yesterday. Actually, no, I'll hold that thought. We'll talk about it in a minute.
We'll talk about it shortly.
Yes.
Colt Hammer on the end zone just wants to dish to Hodgett. They don't need to take it, but certainly they want to take the sure thing.
I love that spin move. Nice work from Criddle.
A devastating spin move, I believe is the technical term.
Yep, good
and
choice.
Just a cultured little hammer over towards the far sideline, hitting the break side space. And Sweetnam again on the score from Hodgett's hammer.
So yeah, what caught my eye that I wanted to start talking about, and then of course, as you start to go on a little amble in the commentary booth, suddenly Chevy find that little bit of flow and really attack very dynamically all of a sudden after being very well contained by that Italian zone. So Colt Hammer, who you see a little bit of adjustment there on the undershorts. We talked last game on our live stream, Benji, about Rollo Sax-Dixon. Absent this weekend, super impactful at Tom's Tourney, getting block after block. So just playing that deep in the end zone when Chevron were putting out zone defense plays. But yeah, the silky smooth way in which Steve Colt Hammer moves, even just the way his arm kind of is with the disc, it's a really beautiful thing to watch. And for such a large athlete at this stage in his playing career, clearly kind of committing to that strength mobility work, just really, really pleasurable to watch kind of those executions and study them, because of course this is the other wonderful thing about having so much footage from these games here at this elite invite level, is that you can study the way these players move, their footwork, their release points, and just take the best of everyone.
Yeah, 4 pitches being streamed, all 4 pitches, I should say, at the Elite Invite this weekend. The full setup here, the one Ulti TV cam with remote com setup behind us, and then the 2 VO fields, one with and one without remote commentary, as well as blink and you'll miss it stuff from LaFotta. Simple score in the end, just the tiniest of pops from Santucci to Mattei, and they slice through that like a hot knife through butter.
Yeah, interesting considering how good the communication has been on some of the switchy poachy match defense that Chev have been playing. They come out with a more traditional zone look. I have to say, I think it's William Jackson in one of the deeps there. Just looked a little bit uncomfortable, maybe wasn't getting quite as much communication from the sideline as he needed. So perhaps a little bit of things to talk about there. But really, really quick attack from LaFotta to just basically shred that apart. Oh, nice little bit of more long jump action from Santucci, but easy business. And that is also one of the key things we talk about, rhythm in games. If your O-line can be very, very aggressive, but
efficient.
Yes, exactly. Aggressive but efficient. And going out and just punching them in. You saw Roger Williams have a little flash at a layout block, but it was a little bit ambitious. I mean, you've got to go for those. You've got to keep applying that pressure, but that's the sort of offensive line execution that will make your D-line's job easier and see these games race away before Chev can get another break in.
You force that scoreboard pressure on your opponents. Spears. Just in Chevron, it's not a set 7 they'll have every time. They've got a good offensive unit of maybe 10, 11 players that they will switch through rather than seeing the same 7 time and time again no matter what. Keim leads to Sweetnam. Did Sweetnam jump that in? Not on this occasion. And he goes to go back to Hodgett. It's too far. Just too casual. Off to the races is Comerato. Don't think Comerato was in either. But it doesn't matter because he can just flip it to Similazzi anyway. And LaFotta punish in ruthless fashion. Give them an inch and they'll take, well, a full 70 yards, it turns out.
This is frustrating to see from Chevron. A couple of those passes were a little bit hurried, and that one just... Sweetnam really not connecting at all with Tom Hodgett. A couple of errors coming into Sweetnam's game. Obviously, it's a team sport. It is about the full 7 players on the pitch. But, of course, you do have some folks who really can change the mood of an offense or defense. And at the moment, you just need to see the those top-flight O-line players for Chev just reconfigure the Rubik's Cube.
Yeah, it's been certainly LaFotta's game in this second half. They've stormed into a 12-10 lead here at the Elite Invite.
Get there. Yes, he will. The lovely did.
It's the EUF Elite Invite here in Leuven. Last round of open pool play action. LaFotta dominating this second half against Chevron. They were 8-6 down, and since then it has been a 6-2 run for the Italians to take a 12-10 lead. The winner of this game seals up second spot in Pool B. Elsewhere on the pitch behind us, in Pool A, Wall City versus Gentle. That game is decide who comes second and third in that pool. Wall City have a 10-9 lead. Clapham 14-12 over Jet Set. That one has really raced. And Clapham looking to seal up an undefeated pool. As are Mooncatchers, they're 12-8 up on Alba. So as it stands, it'd be Clapham versus Alba, Mooncatchers versus Jet Set, Wall City versus Chevron Action Flash, and LaFotta versus Gentle. Although Gentle, I think, have just tied it up at 10s, so No, not quite, sorry. There's a turnover, so that one's still very much in the balance. Williams shows the hammer. Or Criddle, I should say, shows the hammer. We've definitely seen him pull it. Goes with the offhand. The bid comes in, but it still finds its way to Hodgett. A floater, but Zassi bids, but doesn't get there. And Sweetnam, after the slap of the hands, pulls Chevy back within the one.
Yeah, you got a little a flash there on our screen, Benji, of the break chances in this game so far. And it really is that statistic, that difference. LaFotta with 9 blocks so far, and Chevron action flash. Obviously, they've had a perfect conversion rate for their D-line. When they've managed to get the disc away from LaFotta, they have punched it in. But need to kind of change those numbers on their O-line and have a little think about it, because it is those personal errors that have sneaked in like a thief in the night to take away the lead for Chevron action flash in this game. I mean, you have to credit, of course, the Italian defense with applying the pressure to cause those errors and miscues. But Chevy is still in this. They can and they do have the chops to pull this game back.
It's been a bit of a strange one, because with the exception of the point where the marathon LaFotta broke to make it 9-8, and there were 9 turnovers in total, the first point of the game had a turnover apiece, and no other points had more than 1 turnover at all. It's you kind of you look at it, it's like, how did that one get in there? Otherwise, it's been remarkably clean.
Oh, they just saved all the turnovers for that 1 point, Benji. It's fine. It's just a very economic use of turnovers.
I generally find that if you do get in a game like this where it is generally clean, if you get a point with a couple of turnovers, that it does tend to spiral out of control, because both sides feel the pressure a little bit more. Decisions get rushed, plays are left out there, and it becomes a real grind set. A foul called by Elliot Edwards on 33, Eduardo Trombetti.
I think it's he was happy with the outcome of the throw regardless of the contact, but Elliot Edwards is technically right, which is the best kind of right. A foul is a stoppage, so... But they're going to resolve it on the pitch. It's fine. It's not a problem. They just have to have a little moment to talk about it.
No matter what we might think, our opinion is not important. Sorry, Hannah, didn't want to break it to you that way. It's all about the players on the field coming to a resolution they are happy with.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying, technically correct.
Best kind of correct.
Correct.
Casanelli sees Coppi, and Coppi doesn't see a huge amount of separation just past the flying figure of Hall. The indelibly inked Hall gets overly physical on the mark.
Love to see the enthusiasm, mate. Long-term Devon player.
Yeah, I think he's been a huge part of Bristol women's development as well.
Oh yeah, wonderful coaching.
And that one intercepted. Maybe a slight miscommunication in the backfield. Toby Nicholas more than happy to hoover it up. Williams for Weir, who drops. That perfect conversion ratio for Chevy's D-line has gone to dust.
That's such a shame, Benji. But of course, these are the games that will teach you these lessons.
So Laffy in the Dominican 5 panel gets us back underway. Spread with air underneath it to Coppi. Seb Allen trying to be a monster on the mark. Oh, I thought they could have had the deep shot there, but there's too much traffic in the middle. And they, I think, wisely holster. Coppi. To Trombetti. And now they've moved it to Casanelli on the halfway line. Trombetti continues through. Slowing down the tempo again now. Soracco was very impactful at the start of this game, but Chevron have throttled him a little bit as it's gone on. Luffy looking to zing the blade over the top to the back of the end zone. And it's off Rosie's hands.
Well, maybe the dropsy syndrome starting to get to the Italians as well. I mean, it's not the easiest shot to take for sure for Rosie, but
It's catchable.
yeah, it hit him. It did hit him right in the hands. And when it
Can't-
hits you,
you
right
can't
in the
do that.
hands, well, when it hits you right in the hands, Benji, that is what we call receiver error.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter exactly what position we had to make you get your hands in. If you got your hands on it, it's always your fault, says the thrower.
No,
Haynes-
just by virtue of the skill level, you know, at the elite invite, Benji, if they can get a hand to it,
They
most
back
of
themselves.
exactly.
Just like Alan would have backed himself to get that one. But too much defensive pressure means it doesn't go to hand. And we're now getting one of those points, I think. Air underneath it, but not a problem because Trombetti has time and space. Laffy. Back to Trombetti. Laffy says, we can get this over the top, but we cannot get it over the top because Cody Elliott-Edwards swipes it away. Crossed him over towards the D-line, the young mulleted man.
Well, he is indeed, as you say, a youngster, so he's got plenty of legs to do some double duty.
Haynes to Weir. Elliott-Edwards is wide open on this near side.
Yeah, that's Weir being pulled across to the D-line as well.
Nicholas. Tight coverage downfield. Didn't see the window, and Luffy gets in the way. Tried to force the inside shot to Hall. Now Casanelli on the run through, and he looked around like, how on earth? There's Nicholas, I think, might have just about got the block. Now Weir goes deep. Dished off to Williams. Weir rises and Weir brings down. We're tied at 12. Another marathon point. This time it goes Chevy's way.
Oh my goodness, Benji. Well, we had a clipboard spiking from from the far sideline. Just pieces of paper fluttering everywhere. It was actually kind of a beautiful little moment if it weren't so full of frustration and aggression there. Although nothing wrong with a bit of aggression in sports, I say.
Yeah, as long as it's harnessed.
But it was here. It was this missed cued throw. I'm interested to know if Nichols maybe got a piece of that. It looked like he did.
I think he did.
It's been a bit of a lack of awareness from Casanelli. Gave the disc back, a gift for Chevron Action Flash. Another relatively high turnover point. You talked about that one that had 9 turnovers.
That's 7.
Yeah, indeed it is, Benji. So things starting to get a little bit into the meat grinder, making some, well, to be fair, I mean, what's I guess shepherd's pie would be the English dish equivalent. It's no bolognese, but like, you know.
I see the method. I see the thinking.
It's a bit warm for eating a shepherd's pie. I'm trying to think,
Yeah.
which dish you'd make that with the mincemeat. But either way, this game is really starting to cook, and the Italians are going to sweat now. They are that nose in front.
Well, you can see by the timer on your screen that the time cap should go during this point, so whoever scores, it'll be 13-12, game to 14.
Oh, yes. Not quite the full juice out of the lemon, but very nearly. But these are the tight games, Benji, where we are going to see the points not quite get to the cap of 15.
And there is the whistle, bang on 80 minutes.
Gosh, these scorekeepers are good.
A slight riser as Canton crash Roger on the O-line, as is Bardzassi now. Quite a large switch of personnel with many of the D-line stalwarts coming over. Simonazzi, foul called, I think, downfield.
Yeah, and an injury as well. Looks to be Ben Tennant coming off the pitch, one of the newer additions to this Chevron roster. In fact, he plays for the D-line, but his first ever point competitively on the international scene with Chev. Got a big old layout, D.
Love to see it.
You do.
Players just showing there's a reason why I'm here. I deserve it. There's no sympathy spot on this roster.
Push-off foul called by Tom Martin Hall.
Yeah, the pace of the game slowing down somewhat as we get into the closing stages, the last knockings of open pool play. Dished back to Tognetti. And Santucci was a flutterer, but Tognetti fights through the contact, and Mate dishes through to Bartzassi. That's an example of, again, just, you know what, it doesn't matter that you've bumped me, I want to keep the tempo going here because it benefits us to keep it moving quickly and not let the game slow down.
I mean, that was all the contact there, I think, came from the Italian side, because Hall had a lovely little poach there, just sort of stands his ground. Tognetti goes, well, you know what, I really want to get the disc to Kais Mate, because again, Kais Mate continuing to be a little bit of a problem here for Chevy's D-line. He just sneaks away. He's got an invisibility cloak. I don't know what it is, because he's certainly a very iconic player.
Yeah, it's the kind of... he's a recognisable chap, is young Kais Mate.
There's not that many Chevy players always on this sideline, so maybe that little bit, well, I say a little bit, I mean, the Italians always bring an almighty crew of folks to any tournament that they play. They always use the full roster availability to kind of, you know, and they manage their squads well. They have the sideline coaches, the non-playing people to manage all this, you know, configurations and getting people out on the pitch, keeping them engaged and warm in the game. But Chevy, not quite as big a roster, so maybe lacking some of that communication from the sideline to really just give that extra level of defensive awareness that gives an advantage at this elite level.
Chevron need to put this in to bring us to Universe. Kaim. Well, it takes a little bit of time to get down into position. A pick, potentially.
Well, they had a 6th place finish last season, did Chevy. So these are the games that they expect to be tussling in, but the almighty algorithm doesn't favour Chevy either.
No, I will say that they've maybe played it a little bit closer than the algorithm thought, as Kaim has it picked off by the Austrian Novak, who was giving a fight. And LaFotta, 14-12 winners.
Yeah, again, we had it on the previous live stream game for Chevy. Played a fantastic game, but a little bit sort of more of a ending with a whimper rather than a bang in the very last moments. Similar kind of story here, but very handy. I mean, the way that they took charge in that first half really was fantastic, but the adjustments made by the Italians and those sort of personal errors that started to come through for Chevy's slightly lighter roster, I think, made a key difference. But hats off to both teams, of course. Here, the elite invite. There are no donkey teams in the bunch. They're all absolute bangers, these games, Benji. And yeah, best of luck to all of the teams out here as we now are advancing through to the bracket stage, those quarter-final matchups. Any intel on who the opponents might be? So
we know that it's going to be Clapham versus Alba and Mooncatchers versus Jet Set. Last I saw, Wall City, I think, a 13-12 up on Gentle on the pitch directly behind us. 13-11, 13-12, I'll have to double check. But as it stands, it's going to be LaFotta, Gentle and Wall City, Chevron, Action Flash. As soon as the pitches get allocated and which game gets which coverage, we will let you know. But we're going to wrap it up here so we can get things turned around as we move into the mixed division. They wrap up pool play, their first round of the day here on Field 2. You and Steph are going to be calling Tartu Turbulence versus Disconnection, a game that I think is well worth watching. So on behalf of the Ulti TV crew here at the Spring Invite in Leuven and our friends at the EUF, of course. Thank you for watching our coverage here on Solid Sport. The final score from this open pool play matchup is LaFotta 14, Chevron 12. See you on the other side.